Hello and welcome to another video. I have a whole list of books that I have previously DNF'd, but I DNF'd them because I either read them at the wrong time or in the wrong format. But they're books that I think that I could really enjoy if I gave them another shot. So I figured let's make it a vlog where I retry books that I previously DNF'd. I'm not entirely sure which books I'm planning on reading for this video yet. So just to give some examples of the kinds of books that I'm going to be reading. When I was in my early 20s, I was still primarily reading young adult fantasy and sci-fi, and I was wanting to transition into adult fantasy and sci-fi. So for sci-fi, for example, the very first book that I tried to pick up for an adult sci-fi was Retrying. And the first adult fantasy that I tried to pick up was Priory of the Orange Tree. These were poor choices for somebody who is just trying to transition into adult fantasy and sci-fi. Why did I think that was a good choice for a fantasy? And this one is a military sci-fi. Like, what was I thinking? So of course I DNF'd them because I just couldn't wrap my head around them. There was so much going on. I was not understanding a single thing. I think with Priory, I read about, I think like 150 pages, and it was torture. I did not have a damn clue what was going on. And then Retrying, maybe 20 pages before I was like, absolutely not. So these are both books that now that I've been reading adult fantasy and sci-fi for a good few years, most of my reading now is adult. I think I would have a much better shot of liking these ones. I've also now read similar size books in the past, and I have also read some military sci-fi in the past as well. So I have a better idea of what I'm getting into with these ones, so I would like to retry them. I'm not sure if these ones are going to be in this video or in the next installment. I've got a huge list, so I'm definitely not doing all of them in one video. I'd be here for like a year trying to do that. And then some other examples. Recently I tried to read Hot Girls with Balls, which is not my usual genre, but I do like the premise of it, and I tried reading it over ebook. The ebook for this one has no quotation marks, no paragraph breaks, and no chapters, so it was just a wall of text, and I could not do that. Like, absolutely not. I was not doing it. So I want to retry this one over audio. And then similar note with the first book that I'm actually going to be reading for this vlog, which is The Woods All Black. This one I was reading over ebook because there was no audiobook for it yet, and I got maybe halfway through it and I was just so bored. But I could tell that this is definitely my kind of book because I love a slow creeping horror, but I love that kind of thing over audio because that's what makes it really atmospheric for me. And especially when it's a slow creeping kind of book, I don't have the focus to do that over ebook because I just get bored really easily. But again, there was no audiobook at the time, so I didn't have the option. But now there is an audiobook, and I'm going to be starting that one today. So that one's going to be my first book for this vlog. This one is a queer, I think, Appalachian horror about a trans man who is a nurse going into this creepy little town in the middle of the woods. Things are real fucked up around there, and there's some kind of monster in the woods. Sounds great to me. I'll be starting that one shortly. And then other than that, I've got a big list of other things that I want to retry. This vlog will probably take me, I'm gonna aim for a month. Right now we're in the middle of October, but yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna go start that book and I will check back in once I've made some progress. So, full disclosure, I completely forgot that I was even making this video, and it's now the middle of December, and I'm just realizing that I never actually updated that I finished The Woods All Black, like 2 months ago. So my bad. Real quick review for that one. This one definitely could have been left as a DNF, to be honest. It was fine. I finished it fairly quickly. I think I read over the course of 2 days. So it held my attention in that way, but I think it only held my attention because it was so short. So it was one of those things where I wasn't really enjoying it, but it was so short that I might as well just finish it, you know what I mean? But otherwise, this was just fine. My main issue with it was that there was like zero atmosphere. It was not creepy at all. There were a couple of moments where it was almost there, like we were getting somewhere, there, and then things just kind of fizzled out, and the plot didn't really go anywhere, at least not where I was hoping that it would go. This was a much more quiet, slow kind of book than I thought it was going to be. The ending of it was pretty good, but by the time that we got to the ending, I was so bored that it didn't really have the impact that I could have had otherwise. The atmosphere of this really could have built up everything and made it so that the ending was as impactful as it should have been, but sadly, that was not the case, which I'm sad about because the setting of this lends itself really well to having a really creepy atmospheric book, but I feel like the setting wasn't utilized to the most that it could have been, and things just felt very flat for me. I liked what the book was saying. I think it had some really important messages. I liked the characters pretty well. Other than that, this was just very much an okay read, so I gave it a 3-star, which is not a bad rating. It's just very much middle of the road, like it was nothing special kind of thing, which is just kind of a letdown because I was really hoping that this book would be phenomenal, and it was not. So yeah, all in all, this could have stayed a DNF and my life wouldn't have been any different, but it is what it is. But now I'm finally ready to read the next book for this vlog project. I've been full swing diving into all of the Christmas holiday romance books, and I need a little bit of a break from those right now. I read too many in too short of a time, and I need to pivot. And Libby has some fantastic timing because my hold for the audiobook of Hot Girls with Balls has just arrived, so I can start that one up today. This one is about 2 volleyball players. They're both trans women, but they both chose to play for the men's team because they were trying not to piss people off just by existing as trans women in sports. But of course, being on the men's team, people are still pissed off. So it's just them kind of navigating that. I've heard it's very satirical, very funny, and I do have high hopes for this one because the reason that I DNF'd it was purely just the format of it. So I figured the audiobook would be a good route to go for this one instead, and I've been very patiently waiting for it for the last couple of months, and it is finally here. So I'm going to start that one up probably tonight. I'm just about to leave for work, so I'll probably start that one when I get home tonight, and I'll let you know when I have some thoughts on it. DNF vlog. It has been a minute. I don't actually know when the last time that I popped on here was. Hi, Tony. I have no idea when I read the last book for this vlog. I know what the book was. It was Hot Girls with Balls. Did I update that I finished that? I totally didn't. Oh my god, I'm terrible at this. But anyways, I have no idea when that was, but it's February now. So we're here finally to read the next book in the vlog, but first I guess I will wrap up my thoughts on the last book that I read probably several months ago. My bad. So the last book that we read for this was Hot Girls with Balls. Oh, it was only in December. I thought it was earlier than that. Hi, buddy. You're so cute. What did I give this? Okay, I gave this book a 3.5 star, and I did not leave a written review for it, so I'm gonna try and think of my thoughts for it. I think it was an interesting book in a lot of ways. I liked the concept of it. I thought it was interesting commentary, but the actual plot of it was quite boring for me, I found, which isn't that surprising. It's not my typical genre. I am very much a fantasy and sci-fi and horror person, so contemporary sports fiction generally isn't my thing, but I thought I would give it a shot and kind of get outside of my comfort zone a little bit, so I'm glad that I read it. It's nice to kind of branch out of my usual genre once in a while, but this was very much just an okay read for me, but I see the merit in it, and I think if somebody is generally a fan of this genre, then they would probably love it a lot more than I did. But as is, it probably could have stayed as a DNF and I wouldn't have really missed a whole lot. But moving on to the next book, I started very briefly last night. I only read the first chapter and then I fell asleep, but I'm now reading The Goblins of Bellwater by Molly Ringle, and I am 4% of the way through it. This one I've actually DNF'd twice, and I'm determined that this is the time that I'll like it because this is so my kind of book. This one follows a handful of people. One of them, his family has been working with the goblins of this town for many generations, and they bring them gold and trinkets and steal for them as a way to keep them from causing mayhem in the city and like murdering people as well. And then another main character is the sister of someone who is attacked by the goblins, and now she's mute. So the guy and the sister are trying to work together to figure out what's going on. In terms of the content, this is so my kind of book. I love goblins. This book is based off of the poem The Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti, and anything that's inspired by that is so my jam. I love goblins. I love this kind of fae. I love when they're mischievous and kind of evil and they're kind of creepy looking. This is so my kind of thing, and I desperately want to like it. But the first time that I tried reading this book, I was still pretty much only reading YA books, and I just couldn't get into this one. So I tried it again a couple years later and still just couldn't get into it. But this time, I'm determined it's gonna happen this time. So fingers crossed that actually happens. My other hesitancy with this book is that there is no audiobook for it that I can find, at least. And personally, I really struggle to read without the audiobook present, so I'll be doing it just ebook for this one, and we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed that the third time is the charm. I really want to love this book, and I promise I'll update either when I'm halfway through or at the end, one of the two. Hello, a DNF vlog. How we doing? It's been about a week roughly since the last time we chatted, and I have a couple of updates. So with the Goblins of Bellwater, I have sadly DNF'd this book once again, my third or fourth time DNFing it, and I think this will be the last, and I'm so sad about it. I got 44% of the way through, which is roughly 130 pages in, and I just couldn't do it. I love the goblins in this. Like, this is exactly what I want in a goblin book. I love the way that they're described, how they look. They're so mischievous and sinister. The setting is really cool with the Pacific Northwest and the forest and the like treetop houses. All of the magic in this book is excellent. It's so my vibe. I was really enjoying one of the main characters, Kit, who is the liaison with the goblins, and then the plot line with the sister who has been attacked by the goblins. I love those two characters. What I don't love is all of the romance in this book, because both Kit and Kit's cousin are falling for one of the sisters each. And that's where things really took a turn for me, because I find, first of all, the dialogue is so awkward and stilted. There's no chemistry between either of these couples, which is really annoying, because with the cousin and the sister who was attacked, they're like magically bonded now, so they should be kind of all over each other, and I feel like I'm just being told that they are, but I don't feel the chemistry between them whatsoever. And then Kit and Libby just have zero chemistry at all, and I'm just, nothing about any of the romance in this is doing it for me, even in the slightest, and it completely took down any enjoyment that I had for this book. So I am going to be DNFing this one, and I'm sure at some point I'll find some other goblin fae books that are much better for me. But on brighter news, I have already moved on to the next book for this project, and that is Retrying by Pierce Brown. I have finally started this book again after I've had so many friends yelling at me to read this book and give it a try again. I'm currently on page 58 and having the best time with this book. I'm loving it so far. I'm very intrigued by the world so far. It's reminding me a lot of the Hunger Games. I'm very interested by the main character as well, and kind of seeing where things are going. The point where I stopped earlier, things were just getting really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens from here. And yeah, overall, I'm just really interested to see where it goes, so fingers crossed that this one stays good. I have a feeling that I'm going to love this one, so I hope that I'm correct in that endeavor. But yeah, I'll keep plucking along with this one, and I'll let you know what I think of it once I have some thoughts on it. But that should do it for right now, and we'll chat in hopefully a couple of days. Hello, it's been about a week and I have finished Retrying. I finished this one a few days ago and I ended up really liking this one. It wasn't perfect. I didn't go nuts over it. I didn't love it as much as other people did, but I did really enjoy it, and I am planning on continuing with the series. I think the first third and the last third were excellent and could have been 5-star material. The middle third was a little bit weaker. I found the middle was a bit boring and kind of dragged for quite a while. I liked the whole plot line with like the Hunger Games style thing and all the battling and the war and that stuff. It was cool, but it was just a little bit too long in that spot. I wish we hadn't spent quite as long in that area as we did, but aside from that, this was a fantastic read. I really like the character of Darrow. I think he is Darrow, whatever it is. I think he's a very interesting character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he grows as he ages and matures and goes through, I'm sure, a lot more trauma going forward. I think he's going to become a super interesting character that I'm probably going to be very attached to in the coming books. I liked the side characters. I can already see how things are going to get very complicated throughout the course of the next couple of books, where he's kind of becoming friends with his enemies and he's going to start to care about them. And he mentioned a few times throughout the book that he is caring for his enemies, and that's going to be so complicated later on, and I think it's going to be heartbreaking and devastating. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that goes later on. I think the messages in this book are heavy-handed, but not in a bad way. It's very interesting seeing the comparisons in this world compared to our current one, especially things going on in the States right now. I feel like this book could be applicable to many time periods throughout the course of history, but especially right now, which is a very bleak thing to be thinking about while reading this book, but it is also very thought-provoking in that way. So while it's upsetting to think about it like that, it is also the point of the book, so it's very successful in that way. I liked the writing style as well, but it didn't like blow me away or anything. Found it to be pretty straightforward and to the point, which I always appreciate. I love flowery purple prose, but sometimes a nice straightforward writing style is also nice once in a while. But yeah, overall, a great time. I'm really glad that I chose to give this one a second chance. I'm also happy that I finally had a win in this vlog too. That's really nice. I was starting to get worried that every book that I tried was going to end up being one that I either didn't like or DNF'd. So I'm glad that I've now had one that actually went well. Love that for me. Anyways, that's a wrap on Retrying, and I've actually already moved on to my next read. I'm pet sitting at my friend's house this week, and dog walks is a great time to get in some audiobook listening. So I picked up the audiobook for Can't Spell Treason Without T this morning, and I'm already just about halfway through it, and I am quite enjoying this one. With this book, I originally DNF'd it because I was reading the ebook, and in concept, this book is totally my thing. I love the kind of like Legends and Lattes style of book, where it's just a person or a couple kind of rebuilding their lives and opening up a cozy little space to call their own. I loved that in Legends and Lattes, and I've loved that in a bunch of other books as well that are similar. So the first time that I tried this book, I was not enjoying it, and I was very upset by that because I should love this book. But I think the issue was that I was just reading it over ebook and not the audiobook, and because it is very domestic and slow in that way, I found it to be kind of boring, because when I read ebooks or physical books, I'm like locked in and every ounce of my attention is going towards reading, and as a result I found this to be kind of boring and slow and just not at all interesting. Whereas with the audiobook, I like having books like this over audio because they're so domestic. I can have this playing while I'm going around, you know, cleaning my house and doing chores and cooking and that kind of thing. So it's not quite background noise because I am still paying attention to it, but I'm listening passively enough, but I'm not just like sat down staring at a page as somebody sweeps their floor and prepares tea for someone, because that is very boring to read about. But listening to it while I'm also busy is quite nice, and I'm having a very good time with it. I'll most likely end up finishing it by tomorrow, I want to say. And yeah, hopefully it stays good, because I think the part that I'm at right now is about where I DNF'd it the last time. I got really far into it the last time that I tried this book, but right now I'm not bored. So if I'm not bored by now, I probably won't get bored by the end of it. So I think I'll definitely be finishing this one at this time, which I love. But yeah, I think that's all that I've got to say for right now. So I will check back in once I've finished Can't Spell Treason Without T. This vlog has been a disaster. Oh my god. So as you can see, I have moved houses since the last time I spoke. So here's what happened. I had this video fully filmed, everything was wrapped up, I was good to go, I was done. And I've just had it saved on my computer because I knew that I was moving soon and I had a whole bunch of like videos pre-filmed and planned. So I just had this video on the back burner for when I finally had time in my upload schedule to put it up there. But I was done. I knew I was done. I am so positive that I was done. So yesterday I went to edit it, and turns out I actually somehow managed to lose the final clip where I wrapped up the last book and outroed and all that stuff. No idea where it went. So this video is unending for me. It's been haunting me since October of last year. It's now coming on to the end of June. So, but it's been done since, what was that, like maybe February, I think? It's just been sitting on my hard drive for months waiting for me to upload it, and I finally get around to it, and turned out I'm not done filming it yet. So my bad for how disastrous this vlog was. I do want to do more installments in this retrying books that I previously DNF'd, but next time I swear it's going to be a lot more organized. I know to the viewer it doesn't really make a difference, it all looks the same to you, but for me, this has been a pain in the ass. It is my own fault. So for next time, I'm promising myself that it'll be a lot more organized. So to re-wrap up my thoughts on Can't Spell Treason Without T, I finished this months ago at this point in time, so the details are a little bit fuzzy, but I gave it a 3.5 star. I quite enjoyed this one. I thought it was really fun. It was cozy. It was relaxing. I liked the couple, but I wasn't like fully sold on the romance. It was interesting, but I wasn't overly invested in it. I did love the side characters the most. I loved all of the friends that they made, and I loved the setting as well. The town was adorable. I want to visit there so bad. I did decide that I'm not going to continue on with the series though, because even though I liked the book, I didn't really feel the need to read more books in the series. I might at some point if I'm ever in the mood for a cozy fantasy romance, but I also have so many of them on my TBR that I don't really feel the need to continue this one. But maybe one day, you never know. But yeah, this one was pretty good, and I'm glad that I ended off on not like a super high note, but at least not a negative. So I'll take that. So from this little experiment that I did of the 5 books that I read, what was it now? It's been so long. And I loved one of them. I liked one of them. I was ambivalent towards 2 and DNF'd 1. With a decent range of reactions to these things. Now, as mentioned, I am planning on doing this video again at some point in the future. I've got a whole bunch of books on this list. I've got The Space Between Worlds, A Master of Jinn, House of Frank, The Honey Witch I'm a little uncertain of, but I'll try it again. The Unspoken Name, Priory of the Orange Tree, as I mentioned, The City of Brass, I got like halfway through and DNF'd it, and My Roommate is a Vampire. I definitely have a couple more that I might add on there as well, but those are at least the ones that I know for sure I want to retry. So if any of those sound interesting to you, let me know and I will prioritize those ones in the next video. But in the meantime, that is finally it. I can finally wrap up this video and get it out there so it can stop haunting me for so long. Down in the comments, let me know what the last book that you DNF'd was and why. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video.